Hey, True Hype, you know why they do that, right? They
His
start
words are
advocating
the
for
wisdom of
Satanists.
godliness is the spirit is the fruit of the spirit. That's all I was gonna say for the atheists out there. You know, the wisdom
The
of
reason
God.
why they Yeah, the reason why they promote that Satanist book club and all that, because if you tell them no, and they're Satanism is considered an official religion. If you tell them no, then they'll be like, well, if my religion can't be there, then no religion could be here.
Yeah,
So you can say goodbye to Bible study too.
yeah, but they sued, and then the Bible, or not the Bible, but it was just a prayer group that would meet, and like, and not even in a cafeteria, like in a hallway. They would say like a little prayer and then roll out, and then
Well,
like it'd be less than 5 minutes. But the Satanists get a classroom, and they
I think
sued one, and then made sure that the prayer group couldn't do their thing on campus.
that was the point of it, though. That's literally
Yeah,
the point. So, if you look at it in total, when I talked about earlier how leftism is like an entire culture unto itself, while the right wing just has a normal life and families and stuff, that's a part of it. Like they kind of attack the system at all of its weak points. Like we can't really fathom it if you're just a regular person who doesn't think about these things, but it really is an active goal to sort of examine the picture of the government, the state of like the patriarchy, as they call it. Think about it like that. And then they look for all the weak points. And so, like, well, if you have this in your law, well, we can use this sort of attack. So, like the civil rights method, we talk about the Rosa Parks thing is a famous effect, almost a hoax. It's almost, but not really a hoax. But the way it was orchestrated, right, is a great example of what I'm talking about. So they had a situation where a real girl, some random girl who was like pregnant or whatever, but she was, out of wedlock pregnant. She had the whole incident where I refused to get up. And so the story kind of catches on, and then the civil rights people figure out, well, we can recreate that situation and then turn it into a thing. And so now they use that sort of thing to leverage further gains with the civil rights movement and all that. And so that's kind of the whole tactic of the left wing, is to look at the whole scheme of things and then try to
Absolutely,
find
Timo.
a situation that they can use to exploit it, and then onward marches the revolution.
You know,
Absolutely, Timo. And if men stood up, men stood up, like it would just be pushed down, and then it would just like get put in its place. Okay, and then everything would carry on, and then it would come up again. But we just, like you said earlier, the government needs to be a little bit chauvinist. Little,
possibly because like look like spaces like this where people are comparing notes and noticing different things, like they're a nuisance to the status quo, and the fact that it's not a quiet murmur anymore. It's almost like getting to the fact of a loud roar, almost like a train that's in the distance is coming like a lot further closer. It's not up on you yet, but like as it gets closer, it starts getting louder. And then common sense, man, is like really dictating a lot of this. Like what's the thing you said the other day, Hood, or last week? A liberal is just a liberal is just a conservative that hasn't been mugged yet, or something like that.
That's an old school saying, but yeah, a young liberal is basically a conservative. The reason why you become older as a conservative as you get older is because you just get mugged by reality, something like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing badly, but yeah.
Yeah, you get knocked around by the things of life. Reality hits you.
And idealism goes away because you're like, no. I need to be more practical because you have experience with other individuals and realize like the madness of crowds and how people actually operate.
Well,
yeah, it's
The
a
this
different
is why
culture.
they
declaration.
Like
don't want
everybody
young
has like.
women.
I was gonna say
Let me say
everybody
this.
has.
This is why they don't want young women to marry and have children, because that makes women a little more conservative by nature. So
Correct.
having a child in and of itself is alone, especially if the government can help you and you can get jobs and all that. But if you're a married woman and you have a husband and you depend on him to be a good man who loves you and takes care of the family, that whole situation encourages a conservative leaning woman.
You know what I, like this lady that I follow or whatever was saying. She said she would like like actively go to like a college campus and like just have her baby like with like a picnic blanket and like eating sandwiches, and then like young girls would come by and like be around the baby. Part of that is like the women aren't around like kids anymore, man. There's no babysitters clubs, like stuff like that. So they don't see firsthand. They only get to see the boss babes, like, like quote unquote tearing it up and telling you how great
Yeah.
everything is.
Well, there ain't
Not
no
like
babysitters
the
clubs
very
because there ain't no mothers that are actually teaching these clubs anymore.
yeah, true.
Yeah, the culture of motherhood is totally shot now. Because I mean, how can you have a culture of motherhood when everyone's a single mom in the workforce? You know.
You got to
Well,
remember when I was in
what's
I remember when I was in high
what's
school
what?
and they gave like the babysitting classes and stuff like that in high school. It was the local moms that came in and taught the kids how to do this stuff and certified them to be, babysitters and whatnot. It
But
wasn't.
oh, my bad, Snowman, for stepping on you. But one thing that's happening now is the pronatalist stuff that's going out there, and women are eating that up, especially young women. Like
Yeah.
a young woman with her baby talking about how great it is and like how much she loves her baby and like holding it and the baby like holding her head up and smiling, and just like you're like, yo, man, this is funny. This doesn't cost anything to really do, man. But like the fact that that's like spreading like crazy.
That's a
And
I
forced
Shaka,
played.
I'm not blaming anybody for it. Personally, I'm just saying that that's what I've noticed has happened. What's to blame for why that's happened? I'm sure there's many symptoms to this.
And you know what? Honestly, Shaka, to kind of speak to that directly, and this is sort of me evolving a little bit in my vision and even my attack rhetorically on certain things, especially when I'm arguing with people. I don't think it's purely a men did this and the women did that kind of scenario. Like you can only blame a person for what they literally do in their lives. But in the grand scheme of things, this was all done to us, right? The whole system has been changed, and none of us technically voted for it. Like women voted for feminism, but they didn't necessarily vote to ride the carousel until they were dead, right? Like they didn't necessarily predict that either. And so this is just, things that have been done to the culture is the way I look at it.
Well,
On
is
the
it
other
really
side,
things that
women
have been
don't
done to
want
the
forced
culture? Or is
perspective
this
anymore.
good?
And
Is this
they
things?
also, men are being very like presumptuous with women a lot, but on the other side, just play devil's advocate. They don't want forced perspective, even though it's like good. It's good to have babies. It's good to self-sacrifice and give yourself to others.
Oh, duty and responsibility. We know how many people are like allergic to that conversation.
But
And how
again,
many times have I had that whole thing? SKC and I went at it for hours, love versus duty and all that, duty versus responsibility. Like, yeah, love versus responsibility. Like, it's a deep thing, but it's
Hey,
needed. And this is what I mean about a right-wing government. Like, you kind of have to instill these ideas in the people, or you lose the people.
well, part
hey,
of me is
Snowman.
starting to wonder, honestly, because with doing research and actually looking back throughout history, is this something that's actually being done to people, or is this the natural progression of society as it evolves?
It's not natural.
It's
Like
not
But it almost seems like it is, because this is something that seems to reoccur
no,
over and
like
over throughout history.
like to take from Thomas Sowell, right? Show me the incentives, and then I'll show you the outcomes. And like that's what, if you change the incentive structures or the environment, then things are going to change naturally. And it may seem like these are the choices that people would want, but I mean, like these women on this medication, antipsychotic medication, the dudes like sucking down suck starting the 45s. That's, I mean, that there's a deep like sickness in all of this. And Snowman, what I wanted to ask, hey, who did it better, the duty and responsibility conversation, Hood and SKC or Sharon?
Oh, dude, man, I don't think they even touched on it on Sharon's channel. It was just mentioned, really.
No, Hood pulled up and they had a
I know he
mutiny.
pulled up, but even when Hood was up there,
Yeah, but they had a mutiny. They had a mutiny
No,
though.
what I'm saying is Sharon never really wanted
I gotta go.
to actually attack the actual question. He wanted to be all hyperbolic on one side of it.
Yeah, because he has a bias and he was trying to guide the conversation.
So to what you're saying, Hood and SKC's discussion was far better. I mean, it was actually two guys that were taking a theological and philosophical approach at looking at things. You know, they
Yeah,
were really looking at the mentality of it.
in
I
my
actually call,
mind.
I call Sharon out on that shit too, because
I know I
I
was there
remember
when it
that whole
happened, man.
day. Like, bro, you really just gonna try to steal my topic and run with it? And then it was chef kiss because I made his whole audience turn, well, his whole panel turn against him because he was so crazy with it. Like, you were so obsessed on talking down at men that you kind of lost the plot so much that everybody could see you were just out on the limb naked, bro. It was good. It
Hey,
was so
hey,
good.
look, like what in my mind, I imagine him taking off his glove and hitting the Hood in the face, and then being shocked when he got shot in the chest.
When Hood actually accept that duel.
Yeah, he's like,
You know,
"Bah."
I think that, you know, maybe we should bring that back. You know, the gentleman's duel. You know, that seemed to kind of keep things kind of leveled out. You know, just from the possibility of some gentleman coming up and smacking you in the face, and it's either look, you accept the
Well,
duel, or you're shamed for the rest of your life.
the gentleman's duel was literally for nobility. That's why there was an order and a structure. There was literally a ritual to it. It was ritualized mortal combat, right? But again, for the gentleman, that was for the nobility. Regular guys just fight.
Yeah, but I mean, but look at like Salem back in the day, right? If I didn't like you, I could just call you a witch, and then you're gonna get burned.
If I didn't like you, I could just say you were a runaway slave, and then you get hung.
Oh, come on, man.
Wrong now?
Oh my good. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we've been at this for a little while now, and it is a work night, so we are going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, y'all. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here? Any last minute thoughts on immigration, or whatever?
No, I kind of caught it at the tail end. Hey, by the
Don't
way,
stop
I did see your appearance.
believing.
I did see your appearance on What's Its Nuts show today.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute if you want.
That was
to.
wild.
Fun.
Over on Nightish this morning.
Yeah, man. You know, I be trying to be like friendly with people and all that, and I don't. You know, still not.
You can't be
personal
friendly, dude. I'm gonna tell you what you guys used to tell me. You can't expect unreasonable people to be reasonable.
Right. And again, even you saying that and I accepting that, I take the I try to high road it a little bit when I can, in the sense of, I'm not taking it personal against Nightish or whatever. I don't have a dislike for Nightish, but I noticed something this morning that I hadn't noticed before, and I had to talk about it. I'm like, bruh, really?
A simp or a pookie critiquing the way another simp or pookie was pookieing or simping. That was crazy.
And well, not even I don't even know enough of Nightish to call him like a pookie, because he's an old guy at this point. He's in his 50s or whatever. So I don't even address him.
Well, I won't say
in that
pookie,
way.
but he was simping hard as hell.
Yeah, the simping thing was crazy. Because, like, one, you're actively simping. You got women in your chat here that you protect. And, I was thinking about this just a few minutes ago, actually, before you even brought it up. Because, like, I think about myself in the light of everything. Like, do I do the shit that I laugh at people for doing and all? And, we have female audience members. We have women that join the panel. Look, speaking of the devil, right? We just called you the devil, Latina. But speaking of the female panel member that come up here, I remember there was actually one lady, I forget her name at the moment, had a great conversation with her, and we were talking about women and feminism in the workplace, and actually women in the USAID program and all that. Miss something, I forget, Miss B, something like that. And shout out to you. We had a great conversation.
We'll just call her Miss Wonderful Conversation Woman.
Right. But the point I'm trying to bring up and mentioning her is that when I have female interactions on my channel, and especially when it's a panel, when it's more than just me and the woman talking, I've noticed that you guys are going to be direct in what you have to say, but we will all allow space for the women to like exist freely. You know what I mean? And at the same time, there's very little tolerance for a bunch of bullshit. But as like nobody on the panel goes out of their way to just like be mean or make the woman uncomfortable. And I'm looking at the way it went down on Nightish's panel, where you feel the need to like literally put this protective bubble like the rest of the panelists can't even get close to the women on your panel. This is a weird approach to it that I'm just noticing, because I'm questioning like how different the thing is, because I don't necessarily want to get called out for simping, but I'm not opposed to like having women around and talking to them, because I just want to treat you like a regular person. I don't want to treat you like you need to be protected.
Well, to what you're saying, Hood, I've noticed that there's this weird thing going on with some of these men that have these channels where they act like these women that hop up on their panel, that when the show closes, it's like the bar closing and they're walking out the door with these chicks. You know what I'm saying? Like Nida, she made the comments, why can't we have some pussy up here? Da 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 type shit. Like, what are you talking about, dude? All it is an avatar with a female voice. You're acting like this is a person that you're sitting beside.
That's weird.
Pussy in the room with us right now,
right?
Bro.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
Weird to me.
But you know, some women will pop up on the panel, and then like, you know how we naturally like will like kind of talk over each other because we're excitable about the ideas and we're trying to share. It's like almost like a natural like conversation.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Hey you guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you really quick. My phone doesn't last very long. It starts to crackle. World War II, we lost over 400,000 American lives, right? And during that time, I knew men that were of that era, right? So think about how many of those men, like in that era, they started to promote nationalism and stuff. And it seems like the same thing is happening right now. And we have to make sure that we don't let American lives get lost again, because they're trying to pump us up with the nationalism again, you know, and stuff. It seems like, what is your opinion on that, and how can we avoid it? Thank you.
You see how she just come up here and derailed our conversation?
I know. Well, I'm gonna answer her question because we all like her.
Yeah,
I know, right? But see,
I mean, she literally came up and we were talking about something completely different, Hood. Completely different altogether.
Yeah, but pocket sand and ran away.
She gonna leave.
Pocket sand and ran away.
This how she knows to get in, get out too. She good
hey,
like
what's mad funny is the point was like, you know, jumping over each other and cutting each other off. and
then she comes up here and jumps over us and cuts us off and drops some shit that was irrelevant to what we were talking about.
Hey, shout out to her, man. Shout out to her.
And this is what I mean.
Shout out to Latina Patriot for coming up here and using that pussy power on everyone.
Right, but and this is what I'm saying, like, and it's cool. It's and I love you for being you, and I accept you that way. But the whole point I'm trying to make is that, like, do you actually have to treat women like they need to be protected from every little thing?
No,
like that shit was hurting the hell out of me.
Yeah, like I'm like they want to treat them like 3-year-olds, and you know, like, oh, make sure you don't trip, and like, yo, we're having a conversation, and then sometimes you see them come in hot. But to the nationalist thing, I think it depends on what level and like, you know, where this stuff is being applied. Because obviously, you know, you can have like propaganda that's bad. You can even have natural things that's bad. But I mean, like, hey, look, with Georgia, was it Meloni, the chick, Italian, what prime minister, president, whatever you want to call her. God, country, family. Yeah, there you go. That's her. God, country, family, man. In that order.
Yeah, in that order. I say that all the time too.
And you know, like a lot of these stupid problems disappear. Go ahead, my bad.
I think it's just a more natural position. That's all.
Yeah, and a bunch of these goofy problems disappear with that. The reason why we have so many of these problems, they're like order problems, lack of order.
Right.
Period.
Well, remember too, like the motto from like back in the day was "Mind your own fucking business." Like, keep to yourself and do what you need to do, and don't worry about anybody else.
Well, that ain't necessarily 100% true, because there was a sense of community pride, and the community would actually share things within the community. People looked out for each other, and that's what's actually gone now.
Well, that's what I was taught.
You ain't talk to your neighbors anymore, man.
Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many times as a kid growing up, like, we'd be sitting outside as a family, and all the other neighbors would do, and all their kids would all be playing out in the street. They'd be all talking, dude. It's different than what it used to be. Way different.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing missing from the whole American experience now. That whole sense of family, the extended neighbor. Like the neighborhood is almost an extended family. You know what I mean? Because everybody in the neighborhood is a little family unit unto
Well, that's why you didn't have to worry about leaving your kids at home, because you knew that the neighbors would also look after your kids as well if something went awry.
Right.
And don't let them get in trouble, because the news going to get back to the parent, and the parent's going to give it to you like 10 times worse because they had to hear it from somebody else.
And I feel like we were the last generation for that, you know.
Or God
we were the
forbid
last
you're in a
generation
small
to actually
town.
go outside, dude.
Right.
Remember when not being able to go outside would be a punishment to us?
Yeah.
You're not
Now
God
making
forbid
your
you're in a
kids go
small
outside is a
town.
punishment.
Well, like when you're in a small town and your last name actually holds some weight in the community, and you don't want to fuck that up by fucking up.
Or if you're in a small town and your last name isn't one of the main prominent names in that town and you're labeled an outsider.
Yeah, that too. Like, they want to find out everything about you. They're doing their due diligence by actually trying to like figure out what you're doing in the neighborhood.
See, the things that people bitch about today about people being nosy about somebody walking down the street and people asking, what are you doing? You know, who are you? Yada, yada, yada. And saying that people need to mind their own business. That's the type. Those are the things that people used to do in small towns and communities just because it was a new person, because they had a sense of loyalty and pride in their community and they cared about the people around them. They always, if someone new came in, of course they were going to question them and find out who they were and what they were there for and who they knew that brought them there. That way they knew that they were on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a natural thing, though. It's a protection thing. It's like, hey, know this outside.
I go to a lot of small.
Now it's considered being a Karen.
No, I go to a lot of small towns where they're like, obviously you're not from around here. So when they approach me and they it's not like they're staring me down, but if I was self-conscious about it, I think like, oh, they're staring me down because I don't belong here or whatever. But it's like, no, I'm in their neighborhood. Obviously, this is a small town. They never seen me before. They're wondering what am I doing here looking confident?
What are you doing looking confident?
Well, I think a lot of that comes from people that are from heavily urbanized areas, you know, that when they go out to the rural areas, small towns and stuff, they're not used to, because there are a lot of small towns that still have that sense of community.
Oh yeah,
for real.
You know, it's more so the cities and really highly urban areas that are losing that. You know, a lot of these small towns, they still have that, and that's what when people from urban areas go to that, they're not used to it anymore.
I don't know if the cities ever really truly had that though. Even some of the smaller like big cities. I mean that like you can go and recreate yourself like Mary Tyler Moore and Sex and the City. I'm like, man, you ain't living that kind of lifestyle if you're worried about like what your butcher's gonna say to you when you pick up your next cut of meat. You know what I'm saying?
People shuffle about the city back and forth. People move in. People go move in for job opportunities for college. Like it's constantly rotating populations in the city, constantly. So like you don't have like an established neighborhood in a city because those people are usually transients. You know, unless you've been there forever, but you will be priced out of that area if it gets popping enough.
And hey, Free Zone, you ain't shit, motherfucker, because some of us are actually proud that we lived this long to be able to sit and tell war stories. I'm just saying, man, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing that some of us from our that are in our, you know, mid to late 40s and stuff and early 50s that, dude, we basically were sent out into the world on our own and had no supervision. So
we are the last generation. We are the last generation that remembers pre-diversity America.
Pre-internet era too.
Pre-internet, go outside and play, drink from the water hose. You know what I'm saying? Like latchkey kid. You know, like
last generation of kids to go out and explore, man.
Yeah,
the last of a dying breed. I swear.
I just saw a post. It was a picture of Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise together that said they were the last two movie stars. Like culture dies with us, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the mass marketing like stuff. Like I've been watching a bunch of people talking about like video games and like movies, and they just talk about like everything's slop now, and it's just like, damn, man, like. I'm like looking at this stuff in onesie twosies. There's a good thing here or there, but it's like nothing where you're going to want to really watch it more than once. And it's crazy. It's crazy how much of this stuff, like, like they re-released a video game that came out 30 years ago, and it's like multi-platinum. They
all right. Last subject before we get out of here. All right, because we're talking about pop culture stuff, and I want to kind of point out the right wing energy of it all, because that's really what I think needs to happen. The right wing has a cultural, creative energy. Have you guys watched 28 Years Later yet?
Yes.
No, me and the wife have been wanting to though.
No.
You should go do it.
Days later?
No, 28 years, a whole
28
lifetime.
years, the third part of the trilogy.
Oh no.
Hey, did that director just apologize for cultural appropriation?
I don't know. Did he? Why?
I don't know. Like I
Because
saw
he's
like
white and he was made to feel bad about it, so he's wealthy, so he had to go up and say, "I'm sorry that I'm better than you."
I'm gonna ruin the movie for you, but there's some themes that I can't help but to notice in the movie. It's a very white movie for a modern movie. Very white. The one bad guy, the one definitive bad guy in the movie, literally an 8-foot Jeep.
He's black, ain't he?
8-foot Jeep.
Well, I can see that. Jeeps are horrible people.
No. The Grand Khali, you know what I mean? The Great Khalif motherfucker. Like, it was a giant Jeep. And it was actually, believe it or not, more so than a zombie tale. It was a really touching, I know it's crazy to hear that. It was a really touching coming of age story, because the main character was essentially a boy who had grown up. He knew nothing but that world, and him and his dad. And so he kind of, at a certain part in the movie, he went off on his own journey, and that was really the crux, the climax of the movie right there, is when he went off on his own. But it was really like a touching coming to age movie. And every character in the movie, practically, it was like the whitest world ever. It's very uncharacteristic for modern movies.
Really? That's pretty interesting, man.
What I find interesting is the part where you said that it has his son in it that doesn't know anything of the old world before, the virus that created the zombies, and his father, he is the only one that his son has basically to remind him. Kind of like what we're going through now. We got a generation of people that don't know the old ways. We're the last ones to know it.
And now Hood has lore. Support the Hood lore.
I heard. Somebody told me yesterday I have lore. Holy shit.
Dude, I was so proud of you.
Represent
that.
That
is something to be proud of, though, Hood. You actually got legit lore now on the internet.
And like on hidden channels, like on X or some shit. I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy.
Hey, look, man. Like there was a time, man. There was a time before the time, and now there's Hood.
The time before the forever time.
I know. One day you're gonna Google me, and this little avatar guy is gonna pop up.
No, what
now you're gonna be on
Hood. It'll actually go through the transitions of your avatar.
Now you're gonna have a post on Urban Dictionary on what a Hoodservative is.
Oh,
he's gonna have his own wiki page someday.
The first video is gonna pop up is gonna be him flaming FD.
Right.
Yeah. No, Free Zone. Who said it? I think Bumpkin said it yesterday. Somebody said that shit yesterday on the panel. I didn't even explore it. I just bust out laughing like, holy shit, I have lore. Because you can't give yourself lore. But somebody just, they told me I have lore, and I was like, oh shit.
And it was a younger stud too.
Yeah, it was a younger white dude, man. Hey, Hood, you can't give yourself lore. Scientologists do it every time, man.
Right, but that's
it doesn't
gay.
count.
I don't want to be a gay lord.
No,
you can't be gay lord. No. like even I never actually caught this myself. Somebody told me about it, and I never got a chance to like clip it and save it. Somebody on Jason Whitlock apparently mentioned me by name, like the Hoodservative, like flat out, and I never actually saved it and clipped it for posterity.
Yeah, it was the Asian dude.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, I'm building up lore, bro. Like I'm aura farming and everything.
Yeah, man. Steve Kim, man, big boxing dude too, man. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah. I
I
remember
mean,
that, dude. That was like last year, wasn't it?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
so.
that,
That's wild.
bro.
You've come
I'm
a long way,
telling you,
Hood.
Free Zone. I know, bro. I didn't even realize I was building lore along the way, man. That's what you just got to do. Just keep your head down and stay busy, man. The next thing you know, people are gonna tell you that you created lore.
Just do like Thomas the Train. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
Well, I mean, you build that career and doing all the other stuff where they're hitting the singles, man. Like everybody wants to like hit the bombs and the home runs like every single time, but the people that just get paid and keep the lights on, man, they just like consistent, man. And that's why I
Hey,
like Hood. That's why I
Hey,
like Hood, man. Hood's consistent.
and he's built a very pleasant, dysfunctional family over here.
Yeah.
I know, right? Lovable
You
and
brought
ugly.
all the stragglers over here.
Shout out to the Gulag, man. Gulag forever, bro. We gotta get out of
Forever,
here,
dude.
though. I can't stay out here all night, man. That's hilarious, though. I'm so touched. I have fucking lore. What am I supposed to do with myself now?
Oh, the funny
Write a
thing is the
book.
kids are giving it to you. That's the funny part.
Right.
Write a book and get
You
some
can look
money.
at your kids and tell them, I'm cool with all your peers. Ha.
Hey,
I know I gotta write a little ebook, like a 34-page ebook.
Yeah, get paid, man. Get paid.
just talk to Dirty, man. Like it'll give you the skinny on that. Hell, you can probably get
I know.
ChatGPT to like write the damn book for you, damn near.
That's the move, right? That is the move. I'm gonna get me a Chat GPT book and sell it like it's mine.
Dude, that's not a half bad idea. I
I'm
got some
telling you,
ideas and
bro.
some stories I could plug into Chat GPT and then make money off of books.
I
that
know
I didn't write.
people doing it right now. I know people doing it right now.
It just takes some investment because the good AI isn't free. You need to really get some good AI.
The thing about Hood is that he swings unorthodox, and sometimes he be messing me up, like with like sidelining my own train of thought, like with his comments sometimes, and I just be like, wait a minute, what did you just say? And I have to stop and think about it.
That's because Hood isn't left or right brain. He's like front or back brained.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't even. That sounds bogus.
I'm gonna kill that show, man. I'm gonna use it as an insult. Man. I'm be like, oh, man, you old back brain mother.
I think he just said there's something wrong with my medulla oblongata.
I'm not necessarily saying there's something wrong with it. I'm just saying it works a little different than everyone else's.
Oh my God.
You're thinking from the cheeks of the brain.
That's hilarious. In the wrong place and shit. That's like saying I don't have the right amount of chromosomes or something, man.
That's hilarious.
Yo, nobody insults you like your friends, bro. I swear to God, this is horrible. First I have lore, and now I'm retarded, man. You see, all in one night, all in one fucking night.
we gotta knock you down a peg so you won't.
Yeah, we can't let you
get
too ahead of yourself, man. Think you're top guy on campus and shit.
I know. Listen, man.
Keep
Shout out to all of your Facebook listeners. I see the restream out there, but we got to close this one up, man. I'm gonna come back tomorrow, though. I think we're gonna. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, but we're gonna come back with another show tomorrow, and we'll see what we do from there. But I appreciate you guys coming up and thank you for keeping my head from getting too big. I don't want to have to buy a new hat.
That's what the white man's here for.
You're welcome.
All right, man, later.
That's what the white man is for. Later, y'all. Listen, thank y'all for coming through tonight. Appreciate all the audience members participating in the chat. Shout out to the supporters. Thank you so much for hitting that Cash App. I really am struggling over here.
That money.
Couldn't do it without you guys, man. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We have to go, though. I got to get up and get out of here tomorrow. I do work for the white man. Y'all have a good night.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.